Hi, I'm John DeVore. Welcome to the channel. Today's not a record review per se. Actually what it is it's sort of an update on the part of the Monkey House system that plays 78s. And this video is inspired by something that happened initially. So a couple of months ago when I was at the event in the UK at Hi-Fi Lounge, I met someone who came to the event, Stefano, and his lovely wife, gifted me some records that I had never heard of. And these were 78 RPM reissues by a company called Historic Masters. And what they did, because they are no longer around, is they would find the mothers that would make the stampers for 78s. And they would make fresh 78s out of those original manufactured parts. And they put out a lot of very fascinating classical music from artists that really are not well known today, which isn't saying much because classical music artists, anyway, that's another rant. It's very kind. It was very nice to meet them and very generous of them to give me these records. They're beautiful records. But I didn't play them until only a couple of days ago. And that was because I didn't have my usual 78 playback equipment connected. So in another video, I had mentioned how my EMT preamp had blown a fuse. It also has a little bit of a noisy phono tube in it. And so it's been sort of offline. It is still my favorite thing in the whole world, outside of my wonderful family and all of my friends whom I love. But in terms of gear, it is still at the top. It has proven incredibly reliable, given the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours that I put on the EMT JPA 66. This is only the second time I've ever had to swap tubes, but I haven't done it yet because there's a bunch of other shit going on that's sort of in and out. And I had talked about that in my knob feel, bringing in the Levinson ML7 as a sort of an option preamp. I also have the Enlium amp, the integrated amp here, which has a built-in current phono section, which is intriguing and beautiful sounding. So I now currently have, I have the Levinson is going into the Enlium. The Enlium is limited in how many inputs it has. It has 2 line and 1 phono. So the phono is taken up with my regular stereo playback cartridge. 1 line is taken up with digital, my digital playback, and the other line is coming from the Levinson preamp, attached to which is my mono tone arm, going into its phono section via a step-up transformer. My cassette deck is in the tape loop on the Levinson, so it's essentially it's being used to expand the input capabilities and phono in particular, in the phono playback capabilities of the integrated amp with its single phono section. I'm spoiled because the EMT, which is obviously the core of the system 99% of the time, has 4 phono inputs. So I've always got my arms connected to sort of optimized loads. But neither the Levinson nor the Enlium has the ability to change EQ curves, which is pretty important to get the best sound out of 78 playback. And so I was thinking, there are a few other preamps. Aurora Sound makes a really cool switchable EQ phono section, mono. There's a few out there now, modern, but what if somebody wanted to do it more affordably? So I started kind of fishing around, and I decided I wanted to do a vintage piece that had the curves, had switchable curves. And so obviously vintage pieces, if you go back and you get a phono preamp that's old enough, you may have one that is sometime around in the 50s when RIAA became the standard. And so most people's record collections maybe predated that RIAA EQ standard, and so they offered some switchable EQs. And if you go back to that era in the US anyway, the sort of the top tier of American gear, we're also talking about the transition from vacuum tube electronics to solid state electronics. If you go back to that era, the top tier of American companies were, of course, Macintosh, Marantz, and then Harman Kardon with their Citation line. And one of the legendary preamps that allows you to do that EQing is the Macintosh MC20. Super cool with the sort of light up indicators, and you can get the curves in there on the faceplate. Very cool, also very expensive. They tend to be, because Macintosh gear is so collectible, they are quite overpriced. The Marantzes also, so a vacuum tube Marantz, so a Marantz 7, is incredibly expensive. It is probably the best sounding preamp from that era, but you are going to be paying for it. And the solid state version of that, the Marantz 7T, T for transistor, not for tube, is essentially the same circuit but with transistors. So the thing is with those, and a Marantz 7T is much more affordable than the tube one. One of the things that it doesn't offer is there aren't that many curves. So the Marantz, the 7 and the 7T have a couple of switches. They have RIAA, and then they'll have like 78 and mono or something like that. Sort of 3 options, which compared to what I'm used to with the EMT is rather limiting. Citation, the Harman Kardon Citation, the Citation tube preamp absolutely had, that's a magnificent preamp. And that one has excellent curves. It is fairly expensive to get one that's really in good shape. But Marantz's first solid state preamp also had those curves. That's the Citation A. Also has all of those curves and can be had for a lot less. Citation A's are maybe around $1,500, something like that, $1,000 to $1,500. So what if you look at the tier just below that? So below that sort of that top flagship tier, and you have other companies like Scott and Sherwood, Ico, some of the kit companies, Heathkit, Dynaco, and Fisher. So most of those companies didn't really make a preamp that had a lot of adjustability in those phono EQ curves, but Fisher did. And Fisher, so I have a bit of a thing with Fisher. So my grandparents' hi-fi system had a big mono cabinet that had a full range GE driver in it, and they had in that console they had their tuner and a little integrated amp. The little integrated amp was a Bogan, but the tuner was a Fisher. It's this beautiful little mono Fisher preamp. And the Fishers they're lovely. They had brass faceplate, so they had these sort of a nice gold effect. They were inexpensive, like the Scotts. They were essentially stamped brass sheet versus the much thicker faceplates from the Macintosh or the Harman Kardon Citation. But they're lovely things. And so at some point many years ago, I bought a Fisher stereo integrated amp, an EL84 integrated amp, sort of to match that. So I had a nice little matching system, and it's an excellent little integrated amp, all tube Fisher integrated amp. So I have a bit of an affinity, and the Fisher preamps from that era I can get tube. It doesn't have to be the solid state like with the Citation or the Marantz. Macintosh solid state preamps never had any of the curves. As far as I know, nothing after the MC20 from Macintosh had those adjustable curves. So what I ended up with is the Fisher console, Fisher 80C. They made a 50C, which was sort of a downscaled version of it. I think they made maybe 3 different ones from that era, that tube era that had the adjustable EQ. But I found a pretty clean ADC with the wooden case for well under $1,000, and I got it and I connected it, and it sounds just lovely. It's beautiful sounding. It doesn't have the broadness of adjustability that my JPA 66 has, but it does the trick. You can dial it in to get those shellacs to sound right, and it has it's a very simple 3-tube circuit. It's mono, so if you want to play stereo through it, it does have RIAA, but you need a pair of them to play stereo. But as far as an affordable solution to somebody who wants to play 78s, either they'll have an easily swappable single tone arm, or maybe they have 2 tone arms. If you want to play 78s or early mono records, basically anything that you want to play that is going to need that EQ, that isn't supposed to be RIAA EQ'd, is going to be a mono anyway. So all of this is to say, if you want an affordable solution to being able to play and EQ 78s and early mono, I highly recommend checking out one of these little Fishers. They're little jewels. They're beautiful. The switchgear is lovely. It's enough gain so that I'm using mine into one of the line levels in the Levinson, and it does the trick. Beautiful sounding, super cool. It has jewels, so the lights are actual bulbs. This is pre-LED. So the lights are these tiny little bulbs that have lenses that are faceted like little jewels. And so these little jewels light up. So the green jewels tell you which source you're on. The red jewel is the power. They're lovely little things. So highly recommended as an add-on if you have a second tone arm and you want to start exploring 78s. Or maybe you've got a collection of 78s, a hand-me-down, something like that, and you've never really been able to hear them properly EQ'd. There are definitely more affordable ways than the crazy shit that I normally use on this channel. There are more affordable and excellent sounding ways to do it. And on that note, I am going to play us out on, I'm not sure what I'm going to choose, but I'm going to pick a 78 and play us out through the Fisher. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.
That's not